Okay, so let me jump right into it. What I'm going to try to do is be a bit of a hype dispeller and a hope promoter here. I think that there's a great deal of hype around generative AI, but the first thing I want to be able to say here is that generative AI is what everybody means today when they say AI, but AI is in fact a much broader canvas than that. And this little bit of nesting here kind of reveals where generative AI sits inside of it. And I really want to say very strongly that AI is not really a technology, it's a goal. It's a goal that's been ongoing for quite a long time, since at least the 50s. And Gen AI is the latest thing, but it's only a part of a bigger picture. Now, AI hype goes in kind of cycles, and I think that only a couple of years ago, everyone was talking about deep ML in sort of a game-playing sort of sense as being what AI was. That was AI then. But before that, statistical learning was AI. Before that, ontologies, lots of other things. Basically, if you go back in history, all the way back to Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage, you find out that AI was once pretty much everything that computing did. But these things change very rapidly. Now, Gen AI is what, if you talk to lay people about AI, that's what they think AI is. And that's a change of about 2 years. No one's really talking about deep ML beyond Gen AI these days. And it's just an illustration of the fact that AI is not a technology, it's a goal. But this causes some very particular problems that I'm going to try to get into today. But I do want to say, first off, Gen AI is a genuine breakthrough. There has been real change that I would associate with obscure things like the transformer architecture and the attention mechanism inside the transformer architecture. But it is not an artificial general intelligence panacea, at least not yet. And there are those who doubt that it is the key to that. It's a matter of faith to think that it is. It's not a matter of science, that's for sure. It is being sold as a panacea, and I know this from experience at Digital Catapult trying to help with adoption of AI. I get an insight into how companies are selling AI to other companies. And people are being told it can reason, it can optimize, it can plan, it can predict, and much more. But it's not entirely clear that it can do these things well or at all. We're talking about generative AI. It's not clear that it can do optimization, reasoning, planning, all those things. It does a very particular range of things that people need to understand what that range of things is if they're going to use it appropriately. The hype is causing confusion in terms, and this is no more, it's present more in engineering than pretty much anywhere else. So if we go over here and look at Autodesk Fusion 360, in Autodesk, they do this great generative design stuff. This is a motorcycle swing arm that was designed using an AI-enabled tool that's inside Autodesk Fusion. A lot of people have seen this kind of thing. It's very well adapted to additive manufacturing. It's really an excellent capability. But this came into Autodesk Fusion in 2018, the year that the transformer architecture was first in a fairly obscure paper. And that was the first sign of the generative AI we all know that's in ChatGPT, that's in Midjourney, that's in other tools. This is not that. What's in Autodesk Fusion, I can say with pretty much confidence, I haven't seen the code, but this is not what we call generative AI today. However, if you look around, you'll find out that in fact, people are talking about it as if it is. And I'll show you some illustrations in a minute. What we really have in Autodesk Fusion is incredible technology that was called AI not very long ago, 5 years ago, that is really more likely to be heuristic optimization and simulation technologies. Now, this similar technology is in all the big tools. It's in Creo, it's in CATIA V5, it's in many, many other tools as well. But it's not Gen AI. This is a high TRL technology. By definition, it's in all the big commercial tools. That's the definition of it being high TRL. Gen AI is, at least for engineering technologies, engineering applications, is not really high TRL technology yet, by definition of what TRL means. Okay. Now, to prove my point that this is being confused, if you type Gen AI in engineering into Google image search, you get these pictures. These are all pictures of the technologies that I just showed you in Autodesk Fusion. That's what the internet thinks Gen AI in engineering is. If you go to this lovely paper at NASA, fairly recent paper at NASA, and you look at it, these armchairs that look like avocados is kind of a famous image from one of the image generating Gen AI programs out there. But if you look at the paragraph, it says the examples in this paper were designed using Autodesk Fusion 360 Generative Design extension. So this is an evidence of the fact that these two things are being entirely conflated. It's a troubling thing. If you look at Autodesk, by the way, at their website, you'll find plenty of blog posts and articles that confuse the two, and you'll find this one article that I've made a link to that actually definitively draws this distinction between the two, and does it very well, by the way. I think Autodesk get this, but you know how it is. They're trying to sell product, and what sells product today is Gen AI. So these generative design tools, I think, sit out here in the AI blob somewhere far away from Gen AI per se. They're very interesting, they're very powerful tools, but they have completely different challenges from Gen AI. So if we're going to talk about Gen AI, we really need to know what it is. So here's my little story of what it is. It is a funnel with a magic box underneath that you take the entire internet and dump into it. That's the way I look at it. And what you get out from the magic box is absolutely stunning fluency. It's amazingly fluent. But it's also a content mashup machine. What it really is it's taking the things that have been fed to it, stored in it, I would say, and it mashes them up into other things with astounding fluency. But it can do that based on probabilistic stuff due to its scale. It's incredibly huge, 175 billion parameters, 96 layers, 2 billion parameters per layer on average, and days of computation to train. And the other amazing thing about it, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, is it has this ability to take a context. So effectively, you can feed it a document, you can feed it a prompt, you can feed it a variety of other things, its history of prompts, and it will take those and use it as a way to do the mashup. And that's the reason it has the conversational interface that we're also impressed with, and it is very, very impressive. However, it'd be great if we could separate the fluency from the mashup, but that's not possible currently. You can't take the fluency away from the huge amount of content it's given, and that's one of the problems. Now, we all know it does amazing things. I made up this idea of the flaming tennis championship of Chiswick, where I live, and got an image generated out of it, and I said, do me a poem. Do me a poem about the rules of tennis. This is an entirely original poem written with one prompt by ChatGPT when I was just playing around with it. And if you read this, it's like, how does it do that? It is pretty astounding, but it also has its problems. Now, this is Gen AI doing some amazing things in engineering. These are some helmets, some futuristic welding helmets made using generative AI, and that's pretty cool. But there are substantial problems. Hallucinations is the first one. I hate the term hallucinations. The things that we call hallucinations in generative AI have nothing to do whatsoever with human hallucinations whatsoever. It's an anthropomorphizing term of the worst kind. I hate it, but I do have to put it on slides because otherwise you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. The other thing is derivative and inane responses are a huge problem. People don't talk about it this way, but a lot of times you get stuff from ChatGPT, as the host said, that are just a bit stylistically wrong and really just banal. Toxicity, bias, we have to talk about that. I don't know if you've seen the Bloomberg report that came out a couple of days ago where ChatGPT was fed resumes and they played around with the names on them, some of them to be black sounding names, and of course ChatGPT ranked those resumes down very predictably. And this is, still a problem. Privacy, copyright, and security risk, be on the lookout for the lawsuits to start taking effect on the market. And cost, scaling, and sustainability problems. No one really understands the cost of getting to real value with generative AI yet. But there are particular problems that are relevant to engineering, and I want to give you my example. So I always tell people, go and ask ChatGPT about something you really know a lot about. Now, I really know a lot about 60s and 70s guitar special effects pedals. It's a problem. And those of you amongst the well-informed in the audience will know that this is a triangle Big Muff Pi pedal, which is my favorite distortion pedal, personally. And I'm sure there are many of you who know this. But I asked ChatGPT about this, and it very quickly said there was this triangular circuit design that was the reason it's called the triangle Big Muff Pi. Anybody in the audience can guess why it's called the triangle Big Muff Pi from the picture? It's because the knobs are in a triangle, that's why. There was a previous version where the knobs are in a straight line. That's the reason. ChatGPT doesn't know that. But it does know to deliver extremely fluent responses that have nothing to do with reality. So it talks about these triangle-shaped knobs. This is after 3 prompts on this, it went to the triangle-shaped knobs. And then I keep pushing it about it, but it just won't give it up. It keeps trying to make it more convincing. And because of this, I often say that what Gen AI for text is it's mansplaining as a service. So yeah, I'll get on with that. So these problems have real implications for engineering applications. By the way, this is from a McKinsey report that came out just a few days ago. There's the name of it if you want to look it up. It's pretty darn good, actually. They've really nailed where the problems are. But they show you an iterative process of making these pedals for bicycles using Midjourney, where they do initial prompts, prompt progression, etc. And it does some cool stuff, right? Those are cool pictures. But if you try to build something that has real technical specifications, where constraints have to be met, you get things like this. And I think some of you will see pretty quickly there's some serious engineering problems with the design, right? And this is the thing, is because it's a mashup engine, it doesn't understand anything about engineering constraints or engineering knowledge. And for all applications, not just in engineering design, this is a concern. Now, not to worry, there are people working on this problem and trying to make things better, but it's not pure through the use of just generative AI. It's bringing a lot of those other AI technologies into the generative AI chain. There's a great paper from MIT News where they show about bicycles, and they focus in their article on the fact that the designs that a generative AI come up with for bicycles are all a bit derivative. But there's the underlying paper, which I really think is great. This is a great thing to look up too. Look at these 2 bicycle frames. They look really similar. In ChatGPT, Stability or Midjourney know that these look similar and are going to treat them as statistically similar. Those of you who look very closely will see if you put the tubes not on the side of the main tube, but just above it, the structural stability goes to hell. So effectively, the statistical similarity of images and the similarity of derived effects in engineering are 2 different things. And what the paper points out is to get to a better engineering relevant use, we have to include metrics like novelty and diversity metrics so we get new things, so we overcome the derivativeness challenge. Constraint satisfaction, absolutely key. Performance and quality metrics. Those have to be built into the system. And in the way Gen AI works as a mashup machine, it's not. So we have to be aware of these things to really move forward in the field. In focus domains, we got to incorporate this stuff. So this remains an area of research, I have to say. Now, make no mistake, Gen AI has powerful use cases in your industry today. In scenario generation, for perception, for predictive modeling in many applications areas from traffic to manufacturing, et cetera. A natural language interfaces undoubtedly with some caution. In idea generation, in R&D, product development, design, and a lot more. Also in back office functions that are, generation of summary of documentation, it's really very good at that if used properly. Mining unstructured data, marketing, customer service, etc. These are all readily available fields for generative AI. And I think to not pursue them at this stage of development would be a mistake. But to go in with your eyes closed about things that it doesn't really do and that it really isn't would be a mistake as well. And I'm trying to dispel some of that. But some things are going to require fundamental AI development. Incorporating new metrics and behaviors beyond statistical similarity. That's the real challenge. Using domain-specific knowledge and models that basically focus a bit on a domain. There's good work going on in knowledge graph integration into generative AIs that will, in fact, solve these problems, but it is still low TRL. There's creating domain-specific data sets is going to be a real challenge. If we are going to build this engineering knowledge in, one of the ways that we can do it is through huge amounts of human effort. The other is through the construction of data sets that we can use for training. That is an industry challenge. If we need to focus on a domain, we need to build the data sets, and then we need to move forward. The cheaply available data sets that have been used to train ChatGPT and Midjourney and the like are not going to get us there as engineers, because the internet doesn't have that kind of knowledge in a way that can be statistically extracted. And moving beyond the AGI panacea, I think the real way to make the kind of real value generation that we're going to get out of generative AI is to focus and to stop thinking that we're going to have a magic box that solves every problem. I think that's what's going to go on this year. The reason I believe that's true is because there's this other McKinsey report where just last year McKinsey came out with a report where they said the massive value of generative AI will be bigger than the GDP of the UK, right? Which I think they still may be right, but only with this focus. This year, they're saying this year is the year of adjustment towards reality. And I think everybody's realizing that. I think some of us from AI realized it last year, but now I think everybody knows. So I'm gonna close there, but I want to go back to this thing because it really is important. AI is a goal, not a technology, because when you talk about AI, you're talking about a mess of stuff that can be very confusing with regard to what you really mean. And this has been going on since the 1950s. It's going to go on for longer. It's a goal. It's not a technology. And Gen AI is only the latest thing. It is not the totality of what AI is. If we look at that totality and use it appropriately, I believe that we can yield real value in many communities, including yours. So that's it for me today. I hope that helped.